So, the podcast that I listened to and wrote this review on is the Cult of Pedagogy podcast. To begin with, this podcast is by Jennifer Gonzalez. In the podcast, she speaks of educational issues, teaching strategies, educational technologies, and various educational topics. Overall, her purpose is to help teachers, educational coaches, and administrators through various interviews and research conducted. Her podcast focuses on educational strategies and fixing issues um, in the classroom. Firstly, some of the podcasts that I have listened to, had to do with issues to be fixed in the classroom, such as let's make better slideshows. This episode specifically talked about paying attention to the way that, slideshows are created, because the material that will be presented to students or just to a greater audience, has to, be captivating and has to capture the attention of the audience. And it's important to do so by paying attention to the font, the transitions, and just the wording that is on there. So I went ahead and reflected on that. And then secondly, I have When You Get Nothing But Crickets, that podcast. Let's give our teaching language a makeover, getting rid of I don't know. These are all episodes that I listened to as well. And in these episodes, it was emphasized that, teachers must set the stage for good discussions, all with useful strategies presented from various teachers and literacy coaches. So mainly like the takeaways from these three episodes specifically, just were to always prepare for deeper discussions from individually having a one-on-one discussion with students prior to calling on them, to using strategies like pause, think, and share, or write down your response. Most of them being strategies that many educators have used already, and some of them being, new strategies such as, a strategy that could be used in a literature circle, and will eventually spark up discussions. Um, Specifically, one was talking points, which is where students are able to just choose their own styles, choose what, authors do, or even quotes from them. And then, they eventually have a good discussion and have conversations that are that are further than those non-organic, conversations where usually comprehensive questions are given to students. So yeah, and then thirdly, I listened to the episode Ed Tech Tools to Try. Specifically in this episode, they went ahead and they navigated, the 2020 educational tools that were used during COVID times. And, among those tech tools, I ended up writing about LORAD because that specifically stood out to me because it's a digital tool that you can use to create tutorials that are interactive, similar to Loom, but just being interactive where students can actually be involved, or the audience in general, and answer questions, for comprehensive knowledge. And then another tool that I included was Paired Deck, because that one stood out to me as it is, a digital tool that is interactive and that can be used in the classroom as well. And it, could be used in the classroom and be integrated. And Microsoft programs, can be integrated onto it. So I mentioned that. And then furthermore, I also listened to an episode called Stop Popcorn Reading. Stop Popcorn Reading is, mentioned in this episode, and they start talking about, the bad side of popcorn reading. I found this very interesting because I've known many educators, including myself, that have used popcorn reading in the classroom. But this specific episode encourages teachers to just strive away from popcorn reading, and just dive into different reading strategies such as like independent reading, independent reading time, echo reading, I'm sorry, which is a strategy that is used where, teachers read and then students just repeat the text, and that is better for understanding. And then lastly, the episode that I listened to was Model Everything, which is, an episode where it is emphasized the importance of modeling every single thing in the classroom, not only procedures, but reading and writing as well. I found this specifically interesting because, just showing that reading and writing process It's very helpful because it will eventually help students to actually deep think about what is going on. In reading, for example, when students are reading and they are I'm sorry. It demonstrates the deep thinking, that occurs. Like I had mentioned, for example, when someone is reading and they're being an active reader, the students can see how you are annotating, how that thinking process is supposed to be naturally occurring as you are reading, as well as just modeling the writing process as well is important. Um, which was mentioned because it shows that consistency to students that the writing process occurs a specific way, or sometimes it could be messy in general. And it also just demonstrates pitfalls that, could be avoided. So, yeah, basically, this was my review, or this is my review for the podcast of The Cult of Pedagogy. And it's a great one. There's many other topics that are, mentioned, many episodes that I am very excited to continue listening to myself. So, yeah, check it out. It is very helpful. Thank you for watching.